Now listen up.
Because Insights EDU 2025 is coming, and this is the conference you don't want to miss. Meet us February 12th through 14th in New Orleans for one of our favorite higher education marketing and enrollment management events of the year. Imagine 3 days packed with actionable insights and the latest innovations in higher ed. We're talking top industry experts, real-world case studies, and hands-on workshops designed to help you grow your programs, boost engagement, and elevate your student experience. This is your chance to hear the latest higher ed trends from speakers at Google, Reddit, Meta, MIQ Digital, and schools across the country. Mark your calendars, get your team, and get ready to welcome the era of the modern learner at Insights EDU 2025. Register now at insightsedu.com and secure your spot. We'll see you there. At Lucian Live 2025, we're going to explore the magic of innovation. We want to imagine, believe, and achieve. It's happening April 6th through 9th, 2025 in Orlando, Florida, and we're going to explore technology, modernization, and
artificial intelligence.
Explore the latest technology solutions, discover industry insights, and make valuable connections as a global community. It's time to register for Ellucian Live 2025 at elive.ellucian.com.
Do you want to get invites to special events? Do you want to get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, behind-the-scenes episodes, and original content? Do you want to accelerate your professional development? Then go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and become a subscriber today. Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience Podcast, where we make education your business. This is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience Podcast. And as you know, I'm always in the background producing and doing a bunch of cool stuff in the background while Joe is in the front. But this time I'm going to be in the front because I have a super cool guest that I want to learn from. And his name is Ryan Lufkin. He is the VP of Global Academic Strategy at a little company that you may have heard of called Instructure. Ryan, how you doing?
Good, Alvin. And I always like to say Instructure, the makers of Canvas, because Canvas is the brand most people know pretty well.
Yeah, and that's funny you said that because that's my first question is, what else does Instructure do? Talk to us about Instructure.
Yeah, so, Instructure launched Canvas as the first SaaS LMS 12 years ago, and we've quickly become the number one LMS in the globe. About a third of all K-12 students, about half of all college students in North America use Canvas today.
Wait, hold on. Whoa. You're going by so fast. Let's comprehend these numbers. So say that again, a third of all...
About a third of all K-12 students in North America and about half of all college students use Canvas on a daily basis.
That's on.
I don't think people know quite how large, and that's just, grown rapidly because software as a service, really easy to adopt and use, easy to design really engaging courses. And so Canvas kind of led the growth over the last decade and has grown huge. But we've also acquired a number of companies over the last few years and launched some additional products. So we've got, Canvas Catalog to market your products. We've got, or to market your courses. We've got Canvas Studio to manage video, things like that. We purchased Concentric Sky, the makers of Badger. So the Badger badging tool we own, and that's now called Canvas Credentials. We purchased a company called Portfolium that does pathways and portfolios. And most recently, we acquired Parchment. And Parchment is the network. I watched my daughter use it when she applied to college because she uses Canvas. And she's like, Dad, I got to leave Canvas and go to this other product, Parchment, to send my transcripts to schools. Why can't I just do that in Canvas? And I was like, oh, it's funny you should say that. That works out nicely. And so, we've added that Parchment network, which really has expanded the reach. So we've really become an ecosystem of solutions. But beyond that, we've got a 1,000 partners that we work with. We're based on the LTI Advantage standard, right? 1.3, most relevant version. So you can, if they've got an LTI app, they can plug directly in. And we've always been, one of the things I loved about Instructure from the time I came on board is if you're using Canvas and you want to use Canvas Studio, awesome. If you don't, if you want to use Panopto or Kaltura, great. Whatever pieces you want to put together to build your ecosystem. And I've always loved that we've been open in supporting that. And I think that's, one of the big reasons for the success and the continued growth globally.
Yeah, it's wow, I did not know that. See, I'm
Uh,
glad that we started there because, of course, you think of Instructure, you think of Canvas. Everybody
yeah,
knows Canvas, right? So it's good to know all this other stuff. So yeah, I wanted to talk to you because I think you're going to talk more about those AI tools, right? We want to talk
yeah.
about those AI tools to improve student and teacher efficiency. So tell us about where you want to start. Is it something that you want to focus on right now, specifically for those AI improvements and what's going to happen in 2025, all that good stuff? Go for it, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I mean, one of the biggest focuses, we were talking before we started that, I spend a lot of my time traveling, and I've been literally all over the globe this year, along with Melissa Lobel, our chief academic officer. She and I, we finally were in the office last week together. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's so weird. But as we travel across the globe, the biggest thing people are talking about is AI, right?
Yeah.
But I think the biggest challenge right now is AI literacy, really making sure that we are bringing educators along so that they're ready to train students, right, on the ethical use of AI, the appropriate use of AI in the classroom, really flipping the script on assessment to make sure that they are building AI into the process and preparing students to use that in the workforce. Those are big deals. And so, we as a company have added AI features within Canvas and some of our other products. But we've been pretty measured about it. We wanted to make sure we watched some of the missteps of other vendors early on, trying to rush to market and be first. And we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we are being very deliberate. And so we worked with, AWS, our partner. When I say Canvas was born in the cloud, we were built from the start to leverage the partnership of AWS. And so we worked with them to leverage their bedrock large language models, right? 7 large language models. And we've added a number of features within Canvas, like discussion summaries, right? The ability to click a button and immediately summarize literally hundreds of discussion posts, major time saver indicators, translation in inbox and discussion, right? So easy translation tools with really granular controls. So you can support non-language learners, but if you're learning a foreign language, you can actually turn it off in your course, right? So it's not easy for students to get those translations. Things like intelligent insights, right? So making it easier for educators that don't know how to write SQL queries to get simple access. They can actually ask Canvas questions and get data back on their courses and their students, things like that. So a number of tools to really save educators time and start to focus on the student experience. But then we also created a model of choice, right? We realized early a lot of our customers don't necessarily want just the AI tools that we're going to offer, right? They want to look at third-party tools like Microsoft's Copilot or Google Gemini or Praxis Priya is a good partner of ours that does a lot of AI tools. So how do we support that as well? And so we actually expanded our LTI framework within Canvas itself and opened some additional APIs to allow those third-party integrations to go more deeply into Canvas. And so, whether they want to use our features, third-party features, then the other aspect too is we've seen a lot of schools that say, hey, we want to set up our own large language model and plug that into Canvas too. Schools like UCF that wanted to build their own search tools, student-based search tool, things like that. Great schools like University of Michigan that are setting up their own large language models and plugging those into Canvas, right? And so that approach of choice really is, I think, what most institutions want. Because I think one of the challenges that I think kind of came late to the conversation was the cost of a lot of these tools.
Yeah.
When you start looking at the amount of data that's being transferred back and forth, it gets pretty expensive pretty fast. And so our goal has really been adding the features that make the sense to the most institutions without driving up the cost of the product severely, right? And we've got there's other players in the market that are rolling out features like crazy with no real plan to pay for it, and we worry about that, right? We worry about those hidden costs for schools, and that's something we've been very deliberate about trying to manage early on.
Yeah, especially now with what's going on with the enrollment cliff and what's going on in enrollment trends and how schools are shutting down left and right. There's mergers, and so it's a pretty crazy time in higher ed, especially when it comes to the economics of higher ed, return on investment, the value of higher education, all that good stuff. So saving any buck here and there helps any institution.
Oh yeah. The worst thing we can do right now is spike our costs for universities that are looking at reduced funding from states and things like that.
Yeah. So, all right, let's break this down to a granular level, right? Let's say I am a professor in higher education. I'm using Canvas for my course. Brian, point out 1, 2, or 3 things that say, hey, if you use these features, if you use this combination, it's going to save you time. It's going to make your life easier. It's going to be a better experience for you, for the students, all that good stuff. Talk us through.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the big piece is, like I mentioned, the discussion summaries, right? If you have a decent sized course, and
what's decent sized course? What do you think?
I mean, if you have like the standard course is about 24 to 30 students, right? I mean, that's kind of your average. But you get large courses that are, auditorium courses that are 300, courses that are 300, things like that. Discussions is one of the most common ways of getting students to engage with each other, both online and as an extension of the physical classroom. And if you take a couple days off of reading through the discussions as an educator, they can pretty quickly get out of hand. And so you can click with one button, it'll summarize all of that for you, and basically tell you what's been discussed and who's contributed. That's a pretty big deal, pretty big time.
Yeah.
And the idea that, like, okay, and it's in real time. So you come back 2 hours later, you hit the button again, and you can roll up. It'll update with everything. That kind of stuff is pretty amazing. The other one that's for teachers and students is search, right? And search seems like a pretty basic functionality, but if you've ever worked with a subpar search engine, you know how difficult that can be, or a search engine that's keyword based, right? And one of the cool things about the AI smart search that we've pulled out in Canvas is that it's smart enough to understand the context, right? You can type in, my professor said something about a guitar early in the semester, and it's smart enough to understand, actually, it was a lute, like it was a lute, and it was in reference to this, and it was in the third week of the course, right? AI understands.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I gotta stop you there. That's awesome. All right, so student says in search the reference, but it tells them when it was mentioned. You said like a third week of the course, and it was actually, so it corrects them, so it's smart enough to understand what the student is trying to search.
Yes.
And then it connects them to it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the fundamental differences between AI and like keyword searching. Is keywords just looking for the keyword, and if you don't get the keyword right, you're out of luck, right? Where AI actually understands intent and context, and so it's actually like making that leap, right? And it's just one of those things that you're like, of course it should do that. That seems simple, but technology previously has not done that, right? And AI because it has the information of the course, is able to do that, which is pretty amazing.
So that was from the teacher perspective and the student perspective. Is there anything from an administrator perspective that you think it's helpful for the admin? Because I know that there are a lot of schools that say, I want to see everything. I want to see it all. I want all this data. I want to see the insights. I want the dashboards. Oh my God, people love the dashboards.
They love the dashboards.
You just made the list.
Mark your calendars for Insights EDU 2025, February 12th through 14th. Insights EDU 2025 is the can't-miss higher education marketing and enrollment management conference of the year. We're taking over New Orleans with speakers from Google, Meta, Reddit, MIQ Digital, and top schools across the country. Discover how AI is transforming marketing and enrollment management, how to assess online program opportunities, and meet the demands of today's modern learner. Don't wait. Spots are going quickly. Register now at insightsedu.com. Welcome to the era of the modern learner.
Let's go.
Are you going to miss Ellucian Live this year?
I don't think so.
Exactly. So you might as well register right now at elive.ellucian.com. Ellucian Live 2025, April 6th through 9th in Orlando, Florida. Do not miss it.
Do you want to accelerate your professional development? Do you want to get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content? That's right, original content, invites to special events, and more? Do you want to get all this while helping to sustain EdUp? Then go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and subscribe today.
And historically, it's been really hard for admins to keep up with that demand, right? And run them to do that kind of stuff. And so by kind of decentralizing access to that data, and we already have some great dashboards within Canvas, like course dashboards, things like that. But there's a lot of things that, you don't know you need until you need it, right? And so Intelligent Insights is really cool because it's available to educators, and they can literally just say, hey, how did my students perform this semester versus the last 2 semesters, or things like that, right? It can actually look at data sets much more broadly. Who's at risk in my course? Give me the top 10 at-risk students. Who, what did I do in this course that was different than the last, right? And it's able to actually like create SQL queries and access the data in a way that educators don't generally have access to because they don't know how to write SQL in all cases. But what's cool about it is it does actually generate the SQL. So it's actually really elegant the way it does it. You ask it the questions, it gives you the answer, but it also gives you that SQL query that it generated. So the teacher do know how to write SQL, can actually go in and modify the query itself. And so it's kind of this hybrid where an admin has those queries, it can understand exactly and build on those, where the teacher is just a simple interface to get the answers they want, right? And so that should eliminate lift for the admins. It should make it easier for educators to get insights. Those are the things that are pretty exciting.
Yeah. Is there I'm not sure that a Canvas community where people get with each other? And okay. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, the Instructure community is literally the largest active community in education in the globe, right? It's several million users at this point. I don't know the most recent number off the top of my head. But one of the cool things about Canvas and Instructure products in general is because of that community, if you want to do something in Canvas or one of the other products, you can simply Google it and it'll pop up the community post, and basically someone's probably created a short video tutorial on how to do it or written instructions. It's kind of amazing. I've never actually worked in 25 years of working in ed tech. I've never had a community that active, that involved, that willing to collaborate and share. So we have that community, the public facing community, but we also have Canvas Commons, which is actually built into the product. And it's a learning object repository is what we call it. But it's the ability to share learning objects, whether that's a module or a quiz or a whole course with whoever you want to share. And the school sets the boundary on who they can share with, but you can actually share your course with other educators as a starting point for their course. So you're never starting from scratch. There's always these resources out there. And that's one of the other areas that people get really excited about is this ability to actually share with each other, learn from each other, and really just be collaborative in a way that is hard to do with a lot of other technologies.
Well, I had no idea about that community. That's really good to know. So just Google.
Our roadmaps are out there, so you can actually go out and look at our product roadmaps and see what's next and things like that.
Okay, great. So I do want to transition because I love your title, Global Academic Strategy. And I know we talked before we hit record, you were traveling a lot. What's going on out there globally in the academic strategy and the use of AI? I mean, is there something that we can leave our listeners with a huge takeaway, a huge insight and say, oh, that's definitely like a mind shift or a mind blowing.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. What do you got going on? I know you got something going.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we travel all over the globe, and we talk about what we call the impactful 8, right? And they're the 8 themes that are impacting education most deeply. And they're everything from operational efficiency and effectiveness to a shift to lifelong learning, data-driven decision-making. AI, of course, is one of those. And then the kind of the catch-all bucket of the future of learning, right? All the different things that aren't AI but are on the cutting edge. But as we travel around the globe, AI floats to the top most frequently. And the biggest challenge is we're seeing especially in higher education. Well, higher education is a rift. K-12 is a challenge in and of itself. We're seeing a big shift between those that are adopting AI and building it into the process and those that are digging their heels in and saying, we're going to go medieval. We're going back to blue books and pencils, and they're really resistant to change. And it's the same thing that we saw, honestly, before COVID with technology, right?
Yeah.
It is a shift. It is a change. It requires front-end work. That you're not sure you're in the back end, you're going to see the benefit of it. You will see the benefit of it. But it's a challenge and getting people to move. And where we had COVID shifting as kind of a forcing function to get people moving forward. And really, I mean, we jumped a decade of technology adoption in a year, moving people online with online courses, but really raising the bar on what was, on technology enhanced learning. But when you look at today's students, that's where they live. They're on their phones. They're doing everything digital. The idea that we wouldn't be meeting them there is pretty alarming, right? And the fact that it took a global pandemic to get that shift. Now what we're seeing is students are adopting AI much more aggressively than educators are, right? And yet they don't feel like they're being prepared for the jobs of the future with AI, and they expect their college educators to be teaching them. There's a great some great data points from the I'm going to get it wrong. I should.
It's okay.
But this idea that educators need to be ready to teach students how to use AI effectively, and they're not necessarily even buying into the technology. So how do we make sure we're supporting teachers with professional development and pieces like that, the resources like that. But what's really interesting is again, I talk about how collaborative this community is. There are so many resources on how to begin teaching with AI that I'm like, look, we all started across the globe on November 30th of 2022. The starting line dropped for everyone, whether you're in Manila, whether you're in Barcelona, whether you're in Kansas City. We all started at the same point. And you should not feel, we're only like 2 years into this revolution, you should not feel like you're so far behind that you can't catch up. And there's so many great resources from University of Michigan Flint, from MIT, from OpenAI itself, right? There are so many great tools, free tools, for how to actually integrate these tools into your classroom that I spend a lot of my time talking about. Just go out and use them. And we talk about it as AI literacy, and there's kind of 4 steps to AI literacy. Understand the basic functions of how AI works. It's a large language model that's a black box that you ask questions of, and it gives you answers on the back end. Sometimes those answers are really accurate. Sometimes they're right. That's step 1. Step 2 is start using it to create content, right? Start using it. Very quickly, you see that it can often be a mediocre writer, as those confident incorrect or the hallucinations, right? But it's good at some things and it's not good at other things. It is not this magical going to replace us tool that some people paint the picture of. And there's a lot of kind of false reporting about, there's this webcast or this podcast, speaking of podcasts, there's this podcast where the 2 hosts realized that halfway through that they were AI and sentient. That was all scripted. That is a skit. It's a spoof. They weren't turned off at the end. We didn't end some sentient being. But people don't understand that. And so when it's perpetuated out there as if these were sentient beings, they're not. We're anthropomorphizing a static technology, right? Like that was scripted, right? So understanding, so the third part is being skeptical, right? Understanding the outputs, being skeptical of just because it lists 4 references, check those references. Sometimes it makes it references because you asked for references and it couldn't find some, so it just lists them. It made them up, right? Sometimes it's very close to being accurate. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's wildly inaccurate. Humans still have to, in every aspect, be the co-pilot for AI and double check AI. And then the last piece is ethics, right? When to use it and when not to. When to disclose that you've used it and when not to. And we've seen that all over the place from somebody that won a Pulitzer Prize and then admitted that most of the book was written by AI to, the academic integrity issue, right? And great educators are turning that on its head and saying, okay, we're going to have AI write the final paper and we're going to dissect it. We're going to see what's wrong. Building it into the process, right? Making sure that like, hey, use it to get initial thoughts on paper, concepts on paper. Use it to summarize big concepts. Do not use it for your final text output, right? But give students good guidelines. And I think that's happening in education more and more, in higher ed specifically. I think in K-12, I look at my 14-year-old and they're just being told not to use it. And I'll tell you they're using it, right? Yeah. The problem is they don't understand why it's okay to use Grammarly or some of these other tools, but it's not okay to use AI. And they're not being educated on it. And so I have this, I'm like, I'm going to write a book about the wave of AI feral children that are about to hit higher education who know how to use these tools, but they don't know how to use them ethically. And the challenge we're going to face, like teaching them, right? Like bringing them to modern society. And so it's, to me, if we can focus on one thing, it's that AI literacy piece and making sure that we're giving educators the professional development resources they need.
Absolutely fantastic. Last question for you, Ryan. This has been absolutely brilliant. What are 1 or 2, 3 trends you think is going to happen in the classroom, specifically with AI and specifically with higher education for 2025? What do you think?
I mean, for me, I think AI is pretty quickly going to almost move into the background. I think in a year or two, we're going to be talking very differently about AI. It's just going to be powering the stuff behind the scenes. We talk a lot about HTML5 when it first came out, right? HTML5 is going to change the way websites work, that kind of stuff. We don't talk about HTML5 anymore. We just have really good websites, right? Like, I think AI is actually going to move into the background and just be powering a lot of the administrative functions behind the scenes. And I don't know if we'll be there this year. I think we're in that trust building phase. I talk a lot about that trust building phase. And we need to make sure that we build trust in educators and students, that we're making the right decisions. These tools meet our privacy and security and accessibility guidelines. We're not creating an accessibility or equity gap. I think that's a big deal. But I think this year, if we can drive that literacy piece, if we can really get educators adopting these tools, I think it starts to transform. And not only that, education gets better, right? If we can take those administrative tasks off their plate, educators are time poor, right? There's not enough time to do all the things. If we can make grading easier, if we can make the administrative tasks easier, that's more time to spend with individual students, and that's what most educators are there for, right? That just improves the experience for students, improves student outcomes. Like that's the goal, is to, I think there's a lot of people who are like, well, it's not fair. We were told that AI would do our chores while we painted and wrote poetry, and what we see is AI writing poetry and then doing the painting. That's not fair. I actually think we're at the point where we're flipping that, right? Now we're really uncovering the use cases that AI is good at, and putting it to work doing those things. I think that's probably the biggest trend of this year, and I think it's the start of what we'll see is AI just then powering all the stuff behind us. Giving us. It's kind of like, at some point we gave up our need for privacy for the internet because in exchange for like a more seamless user experience. Yeah. Doing more of that, and it's just AI is going to get to know us. It's going to do all the things we need, anticipate our needs in ways that we're just kind of scratching the surface of. And I think personalized learning is really the next step. How do we help? Not every educator connects with every learner. That we have different styles, and I think AI can close that gap and really make the connection better by filling in the gaps. Maybe I'm a visual learner, but my educator isn't creating enough visuals. AI can do that, right? Those are those things it can do. And so I think we're going to see more of that personalized learning experience, really understanding what students know, how do we get them to the end, more like that competency-based education model, but powered by AI.
Yeah, 100%. Oh my God, yes. And I heard a podcast the other day say it's all about AI assistance now. It's going to be personalized. It's going to be AI gets to know who you are, and it's going to act before you even want to, and it's going to know what you want. And it's just fascinating. I'm blown away. So yeah, I totally. Well, this has been absolutely fascinating. Oh, great. You want to see something now?
No. I think if we're going to prepare students for the future of work, I think the future of work is getting there in parallel to education. And so I think one of the biggest pieces is if we're not preparing students to use those AI tools when they get out in the workforce, we're doing them a disservice. And so it's incumbent on us to make sure that they have the skills they need to work with those AI partners when they get into the workspace.
Instant return on investment, instant value of higher education. There you go. Whoa, there it is. Well, this has been great, Ryan. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. If people want to learn more about you, about Instructure, where do they go?
They can go to LinkedIn. They can actually, Google me, but go to the Instructure community. And we've got an AI hub in the Instructure community with a lot of resources out there. I think there's a couple of blogs that I've posted out there as well that have great resources for getting started with AI in education. And just we've got to get over the fear. And if there's anything, just Google and start using the tools at a basic level, and you pretty quickly, I think the fear kind of subsides and you get into how we can use them more productively.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Again, ladies and gentlemen, his name is Ryan Lufkin. That's Lufkin. Look him up, Ryan Lufkin. He's VP of Global Academic Strategy at Instructure. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp.
Attention, higher ed leaders. Are you ready to transform your marketing and enrollment strategy? Don't miss Insights EDU, February 12th through 14th in New Orleans, the premier conference for higher education marketing and enrollment management. Spots are filling fast. Register now at insightsedu.com. Welcome to the era of the modern learner.
Let's go!
Ellucian Live is taking place April 6th through 9th, 2025 in Orlando, Florida.
You just made the list!
Get ready for an unforgettable experience at Ellucian Live 2025. Join visionary leaders from institutions worldwide as we dive into groundbreaking ideas, cutting-edge solutions, and transformative best practices that will ignite your passion for innovation. This is your chance to connect, collaborate, and propel your institution into the future. Do not miss out.
Let's go!
Do you want to get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content, invites to special events, and more? Do you want to accelerate your professional development? Do you want to get all this while helping to sustain EdUp? Then go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and become a subscriber today.